thing working? Give me some sound over here. Yeah.
The Out of Bounds Show is powered by the award-winning golf courses at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Woo! Let's talk some football. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. This segment's brought to you by Independent Roofing Systems, the #1 commercial and industrial roofing company in Mississippi. Roofing.ms, powered by Independent Roofing Systems. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live for you on thezone1059.com. And you can hit YouTube right now and search Out of Bounds Sports and watch the show. We put the Delta State helmet up on the set today. Should have been up for a while. And they've got their big baseball. The Boo Ferris Invitational is today, where they're raising money for Delta State's baseball program. And they've hit a home run. The thing filled up. They've had all kinds of great sponsors. Boo Ferris played at Mississippi State and for the Boston Red Sox. At a time when some guy named Ted Williams played, and then went on to have an unbelievable coaching career with Delta State, which started off, they've been a powerhouse, College World Series left and right, won the national championship back in 04 or 05. And so they'll have their big golf tournament at Lake Caroline today. We're excited for them. And we're live in the Bank Plus studio. We'll welcome in Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus, PFF, NFL Insider. He's got the podcast. They're all kinds of numbers nerds. They're running the analytics, having fun. And Steve Palazzolo, what do you think about Gardner Minshew going to the Indianapolis Colts? Good move for Minshew?
By the way, I was going to start by saying Delta State was at the College World Series the same time I was, Division II College World Series back in either 01 or 02, maybe both years.
Really?
Two powerhouse back then, yeah. I had a couple professional teammates that played there as well, somewhere along the way. So, a couple connections there.
Oh, small world. That's so cool. Yeah, they've been winning for years, for decades in the Mississippi Delta. Now, where were you playing at that time?
University of Massachusetts at Lowell.
Okay.
So we were
UMass
Lowell. We were back-to-back World Series, 01 and 02, and Delta State was there at least one of those 2 years.
Did y'all play?
We played them, but they were down there at the same time.
Okay.
I remember.
Where was it?
Montgomery, Alabama, every year. I don't know if they've changed since then, but yeah, we always would go to Bama.
Okay. Blake, I guess they were playing at the Biscuit Stadium or something like that, maybe a minor league ballpark. Does that sound right, Steve?
It may have been. Yeah, I ended up playing. I think I stopped by I played the Biscuits one time back in 2010 later on. But yeah, it was all I remember. It was small. We got down there and our guys were hitting home runs left and right during batting practice. And then I was giving up home runs left and right once I got in there when I was a freshman. So yeah, I remember it being small.
For our listeners, Steve Palazzolo made it to AAA with the San Francisco Giants. I had that right?
Yes, that's right. Giants and Mariners in AAA, yeah.
Okay. Who's your favorite Major League Baseball team?
I'm from the Boston area, so I've always had the Red Sox. But I went through stages where I loved the Rangers back in the 90s. And I've adopted the Reds as my National League team as a Cincinnati now. Okay.
Red Sox. Well, there you go. Boo Ferris played for the Red Sox. Jonathan, there's a lot of Mississippi State ties between Boo Ferris and Jonathan Papelbon playing. Both played at Mississippi State and then played for the Red Sox. In fact, I don't know if you know this, Steve Palazzolo, but Teddy Ballgame, Ted Williams was quoted as saying, if Boo Ferris doesn't hurt his arm, then the Red Sox win a couple of World Series. He was like 24-5 or something, and then back then when you got hurt, you didn't come back. But just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, back to football. Steve Palazzolo on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. What do you think about the move, Gardner Minshew to the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, I think I think it's a good one for the Colts. I love having Minshew in the building, so to speak, because I think he's going to be at least one of the better backups in the league, in the coming years. And obviously the Colts are going to have a young quarterback in there as soon as they pick at number 4, if they trade up. So I think it's fine. There's depending on who they get and depending on how they want to handle their rookie quarterback development, there could be some games to start for Minshew. And I think when you so he could be the guy that's out there 5 or 6 weeks, or who knows, while, say, Anthony Richardson is sitting and learning or whatever it might be. So who knows if there'll be some starting opportunities there. But I think there's a possibility, because we see that a lot of times. Not every first-round quarterback starts right away. So I think Minshew could have some opportunities there with the Colts.
Do you get the sense the Anthony Richardson thing could play out as a disaster, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I think a lot of quarterback evaluation can. I don't see missing on quarterbacks as a disaster. I kind of view it differently. I view it as like these are necessary, high potential value risks that you need to take. So obviously there's risk associated with Richardson or even C.J. Stroud, who seems like he's a cleaner prospect, but there's risk associated with it. But yeah, with Richardson in particular, there's hurdles, there's accuracy hurdles, there's just the fact that he was good, not great in the SEC for Florida. There are hurdles, but then there's also the potential that everybody's going to be tantalized by. So yeah, I think there's definitely some risk with Richardson.
So if you're not going to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, why not go after Lamar Jackson, a proven commodity?
I definitely would. Even with multiple first rounders and then the pending contract, I still think that is the right play for certain teams. I'm not sure. Now, part of that might be teams wanting to wait after the draft, not and say the Falcons. They could try to match or try to make an offer for Lamar Jackson for 2 first rounders, and they wouldn't have to give up this year's number 8 overall pick, and maybe their future first rounders that they give up are in the 20s because they have Lamar Jackson. So I think there's still a game to be played there potentially to see if Lamar is going to be on the move. But I would absolutely be in on the Lamar stuff because of the uncertainty that you have with the other quarterbacks.
Okay. And let's just say the Colts do draft Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Minshew may start 8 to 10 games, but if he's playing real well, I don't know, he may get a red shirt. It's happened to other players recently, even the best guy in the game by the name of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the red shirt because I think teams are always so hesitant to do that because, they just drafted a guy and the fans want to see him. You want to know what you have, and you only have him for a few years. But I think there's something to be said for patience. The phrase I always use with rookie quarterbacks, though, is whenever they're ready, you do what's best for their development, right? You don't just put them in to get them experience. You don't just sit them to sit them. Whenever you feel like they're ready to play and they have their learning under their belt, so to speak, then they should go. And I think that's how you handle Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, doesn't matter. So, yeah, there's definitely a possibility, though, that people will view Richardson as a guy that they should, slow play a little bit and give him some time. And if that is Indy, then, Minshew could have some opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, nobody takes the Green Bay Packers approach. That's unheard of in this league. And really, maybe they're the only ones that could do it because they don't have an owner breathing down their neck. It's almost like the movie with Costner, that we've all watched where, these billionaires can't help it, right? It's the new candy, and they're like, I've got to unwrap it, right? It's like a new present. But Green Bay is the one exception without an owner breathing down the GM's neck / the head coach to get the number 1, number 4, number 8 pick on the field right away, right? Especially at that position, Steve?
Yeah, and so obviously they did it with Aaron Rodgers and let him sit for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. And then, he gets his shot. Jordan Love just sat for 3 years, and now he's likely going to get his shot. The difference is maybe the economics of it right now, where the first contract quarterback in the first round, like Jordan Love, now you only have 2 more potential years of him. They're both pretty cost controlled compared to other quarterbacks, but that's what teams are fearful of, where it's like, hey, I only have this guy for 4 years really on the cheap. His 5th year is more money, but it's certainly manageable compared to what big name quarterbacks are getting. So they want to maximize that rookie contract. So I think that's part of the reason why there's some impatience. And then just the general thought that experience means development. And I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. I mean, if Jordan Love comes out and looks like the next Aaron Rodgers or anything close, it's going to be like, all right, let's look at all these guys that have sat. Tom Brady sat for a year just because he wasn't, he was a 6th rounder. But
Mahomes.
Aaron Rodgers sat. Patrick Mahomes sat. There's a lot of guys that sat for an entire season basically and had great development. So I am intrigued by that, like the patient approach that I know that most teams certainly won't take.
Okay, which piece of the puzzle do you buy? You hear all this, you can't pay a quarterback $50 million and because you don't have enough money. But yeah, like Louis Riddick and Andrew Brandt scoff at a lot of that. I mean, the salary cap this year is $225 million. So many of these guys are absolute role players that you should be able to get for $5 million or less. Let's be honest. That may not be how it works. Which path do you subscribe to on that, Steve Palazzolo?
I mean, you can absolutely pay the quarterback, but you don't want to pay every quarterback. That's the issue. Of course, you can afford $50 million if it's Mahomes or Allen or Joe Burrow, and they're going to elevate your team, and you're going to be in the mix every single year. So now, of course, we talk Dak a lot on the show, and I think he's probably that cutoff of guy that's in the 40s that you could still win with. I don't like Daniel Jones in the 40s. I think that's riskier, right? So, I mean, it's like pulling levers, right? The more you put on your quarterback, the more you have to get out of him. And the more you put on the quarterback who can't elevate the team, let's say a Daniel Jones, the more you have to put around him, the more you need your team to be a juggernaut. So I think when you talk about team building, I'll pay the elite quarterback any day, but there's probably some sort of tipping point between the good first contract quarterback and the good veteran quarterback who's making $40 million, right? There's some sort of tipping point there where you get the rookie contract is so much more valuable because that allows you to go get an A.J. Brown, say, if you're the Eagles. It allows you to probably get 3 or 4 other players that are going to elevate your quarterback. So that's where the tipping point is. Does Patrick Mahomes need those 3 or 4 other players? Not as much. Not as he's good enough that when they lose Tyreek Hill and they get younger, they could still win a Super Bowl. There's only a handful of those guys, though. So, yeah, you could pay the quarterback. You just can't pay every quarterback because some quarterbacks just simply can't compete at that level of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and, the elites of the league.
Okay. Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus, PFF.com on the Out of Bounds show. Rank your top 4 QBs going into the coming out of college, going into the NFL draft.
Oh, for this year, I'd go Bryce Young, and then I cop out and I say I kind of have a tie for C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, and then I would go Will Levis. But the tie for Stroud and Richardson is based upon your risk appetite. I like Stroud as a first contract quarterback, where if I dropped him into a really good situation, I think that's a pretty valuable player that could, run the offense and do well for his first 4 or 5 years. And you just make sure you have this really good team around him. And then I think Richardson is the upside play, right? If you're willing to try to hit a home run, and you think Richardson can become even close to the next whatever, Josh Allen or Cam Newton or whatever you want to call it, then you take that shot on Anthony Richardson. But I would say it's Young, Stroud, Richardson, and then Levis loosely.
Okay, Young, Stroud, Richardson.
Stroud and Richardson together. Yeah.
Wow. This Anthony Richardson thing is going to be crazy to see what happens.
Well, here's part of it, right? You have to win from the pocket. You have to win in the pass game, right? I completely acknowledge that. But Richardson's rushing ability is special, and when you have that, not only does it create 800 to 1,200 maybe yards on the ground, and makes defenses account for it. It creates easier throws if used properly. It creates open throws. I think that's what's made Lamar so good. Lamar Jackson had accuracy issues coming out of college. I don't think they really went away. He's more accurate than he was, but he's middle of the pack at best in the NFL. But he has more open throws because defenses have to account for his rush threat, and they can run play action and misdirection and all that fun stuff. That's where the Richardson stuff comes into play. I don't think he's going to, just start looking like Drew Brees or anything like that. But I think his life will be easier as far as creating open throws because of his running ability versus, say, someone like C.J. Stroud who doesn't have that and has to be better in the pocket, has to win with his accuracy, has to win with his decision-making. So that's where the Richardson stuff is intriguing because I think his skill set will open things up for him to make life a little bit easier.
NFL insider Steve Palazzolo on the Out of Bounds show. What do you think will be different with Kellen Moore leaving town in Dallas as Dak Prescott's offensive coordinator and Mike McCarthy understanding that he's got to get it done this year and he's decided it's going to be on him and he's going to make the calls? How do you think the offense will look and how will it be different in 2023 for Dak and Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys?
I like Mike, but you guys might want Kellen Moore back a few games into this. I mean, just based off some of the quotes where it sounds like Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball a little bit more, and he's viewing the game. His quotes are essentially saying, "I view the game as a head coach, right? Where we're just trying to win. We're not trying to put the most points on the board necessarily." And Kellen didn't always get that essentially. So that's where there's some truth in all of that. But the best way to protect your defense is to score the most points. I'm a big believer in that. If you score 7 points, that's the best thing that you could do for your defense. Whether it happens in 30 seconds or 10 minutes. You score 7 points, it's the best thing you can do for your team. So, yeah, it sounds like McCarthy might want to run a little bit more ball control, work the run game a little bit more. I mean, I love the move to bring in Brandon Cooks. That'll help. That's, me talking about bringing in shiny objects and receivers. All that's good. We'll see, though, man. If Mike McCarthy falls into what he did with Green Bay, it became very dependent on his playmakers to just win one-on-ones. Hey, just go win. And he wasn't scheming things open toward the end of his tenure with Green Bay. So if he gets back to that, it can be tough. If he, Kellen did a nice job of spreading the ball around and doing some different things. Hopefully there's some versatility, and then McCarthy, maybe there is a little bit more game control with him calling the plays. But, yeah, we'll see. Should be interesting.
Okay, that was depressing. Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. No, that's cool. I get it.
People change. You never know.
Yeah, okay. And with the Eagles ascending and the Giants ascending, I may just, after this interview, go out in the hallway and throw up. Maybe I can rely on Washington to continue to, screw around and not be any good. Let's go to the Saints division. And do you think that Baker Mayfield can resurrect his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Probably not. I think I'm out. I think I'm out on Baker. There's always hope. I think the struggle there is we just saw them have trouble offensively last year when Tom Brady was there, even if it was 45-year-old Tom Brady. But the offensive line took a bit of a hit, and they just were ineffective offensively. I know they've got new coordinator and all that stuff. You still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Russell Gage, but they have a lot of work to do on the offensive line. I think we'll see that middle tier type of Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
The middle part of the roller coaster ride for him.
Okay, so who's a guy that we don't talk about that could emerge at NFL QB who could emerge and start? Maybe he's in tier 3 or tier 2, who could emerge even in the in the top part of tier 2 or bottom part of tier 1. Steve,
who's where right now? They're ranked where?
All right, so we're talking about a guy who's good, but could trend towards being really good to great. Is there somebody out there, or is it Jalen Hurts? I mean, I think people are going a little crazy over Jalen and actually what he had to do compared to what they set up around him. But you may disagree. You may say, no, Bo, he's legit. He's going to be great, and I expect him to rip off 7 fabulous years or really good years with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I think Hurts might be the most interesting one there. I mean, I know Pittsburgh fans want to remind me that it's Kenny Pickett and that they're very optimistic that Kenny Pickett's going to be like the next Joe Burrow. I'm not ready to go there. Hurts could be the guy because he was absolutely in a favorable situation. A.J. Brown, having Devontae Smith, having the Dallas Goedert at tight end. Love that, right? I mean, they did a great job there. But much like I said about Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts' skill set is a big part of what opens things up, right? You have this high floor part of the offense, which is, hey, I could steal rushing yards, whether it's as QB sneaks, but just as a scrambler, as a designed runner. Those are hidden yards that are really valuable for the team and then opens things up in the pass game. I don't think Hurts is going to lose any of that. I think where it's going to be more challenging as he gets paid, the same thing we just talked about at the beginning of the interview, right? Like when he gets paid, it's going to be harder to maintain an A.J. Brown and that great receiving core and that great offensive line. So can he be the guy that elevates everything? I think Hurts can be a top 8 Dak Prescott type of guy. Absolutely. Because Hurts continues to get better. And even though he took his biggest step as he had his best supporting cast, it's still year 3, and I think we've seen him continue to improve. So I can see Hurts being that guy. I'm not ready to put him in the great category, but I think Hurts will be in that top 8 to 10 quarterback range, which is, again, very interesting when you start paying him. That's pretty much, I think, the cutoff that I'm comfortable with.
I want to talk Hendon Hooker next week because it's going to.
Please don't make me watch that offense, please.
Oh, you're just.
It's just so bad for evaluating players. It's a great college offense. It's so bad for evaluating.
Well, what was the difference in that and what Anthony Richardson was trying to do at Florida? Or C.J. Stroud at Ohio State.
Concepts that are going to happen in the NFL. They run real pass concepts at Florida.
Oh.
Tennessee's just a whole bunch of one-on-ones and chuck it deep. It's great for college. It's fun, but it's not very projectable.
Yeah, all right. When he's starting year 2, we'll talk about it. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, take your kids to Chick-fil-A. It sounds like they're hungry. You need to do a show. I'm
on daddy duty. It's just me and the 4 kids this weekend. So
oh my gosh, dude!
Sorry if you heard them in the background.
No, they were great. That is like riding a 4,000-pound bull. Good luck with that, Steve Palazzolo. Take care.
All right, thank you.
He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Don't forget that it's game day with the Sweet 16. It's brought to you by Boar's Head. Put together an amazing Boar's Head charcuterie board. Or Boar's Head nachos. Boar's Head premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere.